savage race riots have swept through northern London. Raging mobs have beaten or burned anything in their path. I'm here today to tell you what the media and the politicians won't dare to tell you. The media says the riots occurred because the police shot a non-white, quote, youth. The truth is the riots didn't occur because of the police. The riots occurred because of massive non-European immigration. The riots would be something you'd expect to read about in Sudan or the Congo. But the riots weren't in the Congo. They were in a once peaceful land we call Great Britain. North London was the scene of similar riots in 1985, where police officer Keith Blakelock was hacked to death. Black youths, over 500, rampaged through the streets, beating and attacking any white person they could find. The politicians and the media work overtime to downplay the racial nature of these savage riots.
There's some extraordinary pictures of gangs of hundreds of often masked youths rioting through the streets, setting shops alight, looting, widespread looting, and in many cases, according to local residents,
reports of pockets of unrest, sort of groups of youths ranging around, particularly in the areas of Brixton in South London and Enfield and the surrounding area in the north. But mostly what's underway at the moment is a massive
of young people out here that are just sheer evil, just sheer evilness. It's horrible out here. It's like a war zone. It is nasty out here.
The media repeatedly referred to the rioters as, quote, youths, unquote. That's kind of like the new movie, The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, referring to the young ape revolutionaries as, quote, youths, unquote. Now, I'm not comparing the savage criminals of Tottenham with that of apes. Fact is, apes are far less murderous and cruel than these mobs. And I don't blame the average immigrant for these problems. I blame the politicians, the government, and the media for creating this massive immigration which has led to the destruction of European heritage, culture, and civility, not just in Britain, but in many other nations of the world. The question is, what do we do about it? The first thing we do is tell the whole truth. Open borders are a disaster. But as bad as it is, it's only going to get worse as Europeans become more of a shrinking minority in their own nations. We have the same rights of independence and heritage that the people in Tibet have, or the people in Palestine should have. Ironically, it is the same Zionist media, financial, and political power in the West that has led to this disaster in Europe and the Americas and also around the world. The truth is that the same Zionist political, media, and financial network that has led to the dispossession of the Palestinian people are the same powers that are leading to the destruction of the heritage of the Western world. The truth is, the immigrants are just pawns in their program. The next thing we've got to do is vote against every politician who sold out our heritage, our rights, and our future to this mass non-European immigration. We must demand that they not only vote against this massive immigration, but they act forcefully and speak forcefully against it. There is no compromise on this critical issue for the survival of European mankind and our heritage and the things that we cherish. By the same token, we must be fair and consistent. America and Britain and other Western nations must get out of the non-European world. They've got a right to control their own destiny, their own heritage, their own freedoms, their own values, just as we must have that same right in our own lands. We must stop fighting these Zionist-inspired globalist wars and start thinking about the most important thing to fight for, and that's our own heritage and freedom right here at home, the well-being of our own children in the years to come. We must stop immigration, and I mean full stop. And we must take the money that we waste in crime expenses, incarceration, courts, welfare, medical assistance, and all the other aspects of the huge cost of immigration, and apply that money to helping these immigrants make a new life for themselves, get the training and the education they need to go back to their own lands and have a great life and truly help their own people. We have sympathy for immigrants seeking a better life, but we must also keep them and the politicians and the media from transforming our own nations into the nations from which they escaped. In the name of peace, in the name of true love and harmony, we must stop this massive immigration into our European and American nations. We must stand up and defend our freedom. We must defend our magnificent heritage, and we must defend our independence. Every people on earth has the right to independence and freedom, and so do we. The only way we can win this battle is to tell the truth and to be honest and courageous. And that's what I say we must do. The time has come to band together. The hour is late. It's almost too late. But I believe in my heart that if we stand up with courage and with truth, that we will win the battle ahead of us. "34 years ago, I traveled to Great Britain. I spoke to students at Oxford and Cambridge, did the BBC Tonight program, and I interviewed with reporters in front of the Scotland Yard sign. What's interesting is that this is the same sign where the head of police stood and talked about these horrific riots that are besieging Great Britain. I said, I'm kind of like a Paul Revere in reverse, warning Britain that the racial conditions of America were coming to Britain, that Britain still had a chance to avoid the racial conflict that we now have in the United States and in other countries. That was 34 years ago. And now we have the head of the police standing in front of the same sign and talking about the horrendous violence that's come about over the last few days in Great Britain. It's interesting, isn't it? I warned the British people, and it turned out I was right. And it turns out that massive immigration is something that doesn't bring peace and love and brotherhood. It must be obvious to everybody now, but it's time we stand up politically, legally, honestly, non-violently, but it's time we stand up and defend our rights and our heritage.